When the photos from the red carpet first hit the internet, most people thought they were looking at just another glamorous Hollywood pairing. Teyana Taylor stood poised and radiant, while Pierre carried himself with the quiet confidence of a rising leading man. But fast forward a few months, and the tone had shifted completely. The whispers grew louder. The smiles disappeared. Then came the digital wipe, every trace of him gone from her page as if he had never existed. To casual observers, it looked like a messy breakup. To insiders, it felt like the opening scene of something far more calculated. Because what if the leak that sparked the headlines wasn't the scandal itself, but only the beginning? Mainstream. Blogs framed the split as incompatibility, distance, or busy schedules. But those explanations never quite matched the energy of what followed. This wasn't just heartbreak, it was strategy. It was silence with intention. And if you followed Teyana's career, you know she doesn't move without purpose. After her highly publicized divorce from Iman Shumpert, Teyana had made it clear she was done playing supportive wife in someone else's shadow. She rebuilt her narrative carefully: mother first, mogul second, artist always. So when Aaron entered her life, fans saw it as a fresh chapter. He was private, polished, internationally respected. The contrast to her past felt deliberate. Clean slate, a quieter love. But privacy in Hollywood often walks hand in hand with secrecy. According to circulating reports, the first red flags weren't dramatic, they were subtle. Communication gaps during his trips back to London. Long stretches of silence masked as script meetings. A second phone that was always face down. For someone who had already survived public betrayal once, those weren't minor details. They were sirens. Then came the digital breadcrumbs. The story goes that a shared device and iPad used during creative sessions syncs to a cloud account Aaron had forgotten to log out of. What happened next has become the stuff of internet legend. A hidden folder, encrypted but not invisible, and inside? Allegedly, a 3-year archive documenting a private relationship in London. Photos, travel, itineraries, messages that overlapped with nights he'd been publicly by Teyana's side. If true, that discovery would have been devastating on its own. But what reportedly shook her even more were emails, communications between management representatives discussing optics, branding, and market positioning. The language, according to rumors, suggested that the relationship with Teyana elevated Aaron's appeal in the American market, that her authenticity made him more relatable, that her cultural influence gave him credibility. Imagine realizing you might have been positioned not as a partner but as a strategy. That's when the narrative stops being about cheating and starts being about power. Teyana has always branded herself as ride or die, loyal, protective, Harlem to the core. So the idea that her real-life love story could have been leveraged as a public relations device hit deeper than infidelity. It touched identity, integrity, legacy. Instead of confronting him immediately, she reportedly did something far colder. She collected evidence, screenshots, metadata, timestamps. Enough documentation to ensure that if she ever spoke, it wouldn't be dismissed as emotion. It would be factual. In Hollywood, perception is currency, and proof is power. For 48 hours, she moved like nothing was wrong, attended meetings, rehearsed choreography, took care of her daughters. But internally, the switch had flipped. The woman who once defended her marriage publicly now understood that silence could be more lethal than screaming. When the confrontation finally happened, allegedly in a private hotel suite, it wasn't theatrical. There were no flying glasses or viral outbursts. There was a laptop connected to a television screen, a folder opened, evidence laid out like a courtroom exhibit. Aaron, trained as a classical actor, suddenly found himself in a role he couldn't rehearse. Reports claim he attempted damage control context, misunderstandings, outdated conversations. But context doesn't erase timestamps. And misunderstanding doesn't explain overlapping travel logs. What shifted the room wasn't rage, it was calm. Teyana, according to insiders, told him she wasn't interested in explanations. She was interested in truth and respect. She had defended him publicly, stood by him during online scrutiny, integrated him into her family space. If that had been part of a larger branding chess game, then the disrespect ran deeper than romance. The tension escalated when management representatives were allegedly looped in via speakerphone. Discussions of amicable separations floated. Suggestions of joint statements. Even mentions of financial settlements to keep matters quiet. That reportedly was the final miscalculation. Money wasn't the leverage here. Truth was, the ultimatum that followed has since been described as nuclear, if her narrative was spun. If anonymous sources painted her as unstable or jealous. If even a whisper suggested she was the villain, she would release everything. A long-form, documentary-style expose across her platforms, names included. Emails displayed. Systems exposed. Whether or not such a video exists, the threat alone reportedly triggered industry panic. Because if one high-profile woman detailed how celebrity relationships can be constructed for optics, the fallout wouldn't stop at one actor. It would ripple through agencies, studios, and marketing divisions. And timing made it even more precarious. Aaron was approaching one of the biggest professional milestones of his career, the global launch of Mufasa, The Lion King, a Disney-backed project. Family-oriented, reputation-sensitive. Controversy at that scale could alter trajectories overnight. So the deadline was set: 24 hours. No leaks, no spin. No subtle character assassination through tabloids. Silence or exposure. What followed was eerie. No dramatic tabloid wars, no messy subtweets. Just disappearance. Photos erased. Tags removed. Captions edited. It was as though the relationship had been surgically extracted from the internet. In the age of oversharing, absence became the loudest. Statement. Hollywood insiders reportedly held emergency meetings, not necessarily because of the breakup, but because of what it implied. If a woman with millions of followers and deep industry respect was willing to challenge the machinery of image-making, others might follow. Meanwhile, Teyana didn't go live with a tell-all. Instead, she executed something arguably more effective: psychological distance. Cryptic song lyrics, quotes about discernment, subtle affirmations about masks falling away. Nothing explicit, but enough to remind those involved that the receipts still existed. For Aaron, the situation created a paradox. Going public with any other relationship would validate suspicion. Staying silent left a cloud. Interviews became more guarded. Appearances, more calculated. The effortless charisma now filtered through caution. And that may have been the true shift in power. Because Teyana didn't need to out anyone to win the narrative. She simply removed her light. Without her cosign, his cultural crossover appeal dimmed. The power couple aura evaporated. What remained was talent, but under scrutiny. For Teyana, the aftermath looked different. She leaned deeper into motherhood, choreography, business ventures. She framed herself not as a victim, but as a woman who refuses to be used. Her supporters rallied, interpreting her silence as strength. The rumored expose still sits, at least symbolically, in a vault. A reminder that loyalty is a privilege, not an obligation. That authenticity cannot be commodified without consequence. Was it all truly that calculated? Were the emails exactly as described? Or has the internet layered speculation onto fragments of truth? That's the thing about Hollywood. Perception often outpaces proof. But what this saga undeniably illustrates is the evolving power dynamic. Women in entertainment are no longer obligated to protect systems that exploit them. They have platforms, audiences, evidence, and timing. In the end, this wasn't just about a breakup. It was about narrative ownership. Teyana demonstrated that sometimes the most devastating move isn't exposure, it's restraint. It's allowing silence to feel heavier than scandal. It's letting the other side wonder indefinitely whether today is the day the file uploads. As for Aaron's future, talent rarely disappears. Projects move forward, careers adapt, but reputational shadows linger, especially in an industry built on image. The question now isn't whether the relationship was real. It's whether the power shift is permanent. Will the rumored video ever see daylight? Or will it remain a strategic deterrent, proof that in 2026, the real power brokers aren't always in boardrooms. Sometimes they're artists with Wi-Fi and nothing left to lose. One thing is certain, if you ever mistake Teyana Taylor's grace for weakness, you may find yourself learning publicly just how sharp the queen of receipts can be.